What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel covering the ultimate infantry guide. This one will cover the officer class to start with. If you haven't already checked out the other class guides, you should be directed to at the end of the video. Now if you're new or experienced about Battlefront 2, you have most likely come across the officer class. Most actually have different appearances to your other classes, including a different set of abilities, guns, star cards, and everything else that you would expect from a class. And we will be going through all of them in this video. The officer class is your go-to to get a hero very quickly. It rewards players with battle points for easy tasks, except it isn't just a support character. You'll find most officers winning almost every single 1v1 with 250 HP and an SE44C. You may ask how. This will be answered during this tutorial, and first up we will be going through the abilities for this class, starting with the flash grenade. The flash grenade isn't exactly a flash grenade, it actually concusses enemies. It splits into several different fragments and does up to 75 damage. I don't know if this value is actually correct or not, but that's what we're going with, as that's how much I've noticed it for, especially the basic and not upgraded flash grenade. However, if you do equip the improved flash grenade star card, you'll be able to reach a larger radius as well as a higher damage output for the ability. The middle ability for the officer is the battle command. You may have noticed it before, and it's a support ability for the class that buffs allies in the radius, giving them 100 HP extra. Sometimes this ability bugs and makes it so that allies affected by this buff can't actually be crowd controlled, which is really annoying when you're playing Vader and somebody doesn't get choked by your ability, but it usually is noticeable for the most part. There are different variances for the battle command. The blast command initially that you unlock earliest, giving unlimited blaster cooling to allies within its radius, but it doesn't apply a health buff. Next up is the recharge command. This refreshes you and your teammates' abilities off cooldown, allowing you to have abilities instantly that were just used, as well as a faster recharge time for other abilities. Last up is the improved battle command that gives you and your allies 100 extra HP with the biggest radius than the default. This differs to the normal blast command without any buffs because it buffs you, and it also has a larger radius with a lower cooldown as well. This is the most common officer buff that you will encounter and star cards for the class. One handy tip is that once you roll during this animation, it actually cancels out to your kinda salute when you do this animation, allowing you to keep your momentum during the fight. Also know that allies buffed by this command will give you kill assists for when they kill an enemy, so this is for every single battle command. Moving on to the last ability for the officer is known as the blaster turret. This turret locks on to absolutely anything, including both infantry and vehicles. Each burst does around anywhere from 100 to 130 damage if all shots connect, provided they don't headshot. The officer unit also repairs any friendly officer's blaster turrets, whether they're yours or somebody else's. The improved blaster turret star card increases the HP of the blaster turret and reduces the cooldown for the ability as well. Alright, in the next section of the video, we will be discussing the weapons. First up with the default weapon to begin with. Know that the stats for this weapon change throughout every single era on both a light and dark side. The officer's default weapon is actually arguably one of the best starting guns, especially in damage output, although it isn't able to compete with other guns since it won't be equipped with any attachments at all, and that's its downside. The second weapon in the officer's arsenal is the S5, which is known as the Desert Eagle of Battlefront 2. Except this hand cannon almost never one-shots to the head and struggles in competing with other blasters, as the time to kill is really quick for every single other weapon, making it very unforgiving if you miss. Personally, in my quest to get max level officer, I've been equipping the S5 pretty often, and I've come to love the weapon as it rewards accuracy. I currently use the reduced recoil, sometimes equipping the dual zoom on larger maps. This helps a lot, as well as the ion shot that proves useful when killing turrets on Hoth or destroying squad shields and starfighters, except the damage to ground vehicles is absolutely pitiful. The next weapon, however, is the Blurg 1120. You may have known it from its godlike status in the past, where it was by far one of the most overpowered weapons in the game, although since then there have been several nerfs having rendered this weapon completely useless. I haven't used this weapon at all, and I find it unusable without any attachments. On the other hand, with attachments, reduced recoil and improved burst from 2 to 4 shots, it becomes a pretty decent weapon at close to mid-range. Now moving on to the last weapon for the officer class, unlocked at 400 kills of the SE44C, and arguably the best weapon in the game without the rapid fire attachment. This gun is nothing special in single fire. However, full auto it melts most enemies, paired with the improved cooling attachment, increasing the magazine size creating a complete monster when overhealed at 250 HP. Upcoming for this guide is the star cards for the officer class. To begin with, my personal star card build consists of the star cards Officer's Presence, Bounty Hunter, and Improved Battle Command. This is generally for the quickest battle point gain when using the class. Now to kick off what each of these star cards do exactly, we have the Officer's Presence star card to begin with, reducing the delay before nearby allies' health regeneration begins for up to 40%. And keep in mind, this does give you battle points for having this card on, with the next star card in the collection being the Homing Shot, a weapon that locks onto enemy soldiers and fires guided missiles to track them down. And honestly, this weapon just isn't worth using at all, and I definitely recommend avoiding it. It rarely locks on, and when it does, it doesn't actually track anyone. Hence it is inferior to the Flash Grenade, and I wouldn't recommend using the Homing Shot ability. The Squad Shield is a portable energy shield that protects users from blasters and other weapons. This can be easily destroyed through using ion charged weapons. However, once used objectively to cover points and take objectives, it is very powerful. This ability does replace the blaster turret, so your offensiveness does go down, creating a more defensive playstyle. One star card that you probably have noticed is the Disruption star card. If you've been playing Battlefront 2 for any time, you probably noticed people run straight at you and disrupt you, overheating your weapon instantly, which proves to be pretty annoying for the enemies and gives you time to kill people. It also diffuses explosives and temporarily disables turrets as well, and the range for it is up to 20 once you equip the purple star card variant. The diffuser that isn't meant to be mixed up with the Disruption star card is a device that creates an electrically charged field in an area around its user for a limited time. This is similar to a trophy system in Call of Duty or Battlefield 4, wherever you've been playing. However, it's equipped completely around you and creates a blue aura. This does replace your Flash Grenade ability, but is really helpful in situations such as Camino Fest phase where there's a lot of grenades being thrown around. That actually wraps it up for this section of the video, and we're going to be moving on to the universal star cards. If you guys haven't actually checked out the last two videos of the guides, you may not be familiar with this part of the video, so here we go. You may have noticed that I missed a few star cards. These are universal to every single class, and they're usually found in the top segment of the boost cards. And you may be asking what makes this different. To begin with, there's the Brawler star card. When you defeat an enemy in melee combat, your abilities refresh and you gain a small amount of health. It's up to 100. I definitely wouldn't recommend this star card as you don't find yourself in melee combat range very often, so you end up getting yourself killed if you actually try to engage an enemy in melee combat. But one star card that I would recommend is Resourceful, where all of your abilities have shorter recharge times. This helps for infantry classes such as the Officer, who rely on their abilities to actually succeed and support their teammates, and this 28% increase in recharge time actually comes in huge. Later on in the list, you find yourself with the Bodyguard star card, where you take reduced damage from explosions and toxins. This proves to be useful in choke points where you have a lot of explosive spam, such as Camino Phase 1. So if you are struggling there, 30% decrease explosive damage comes in huge, but with most grenades on Camino first phase being flash grenades, it doesn't seem to be doing too much damage. So I wouldn't really recommend using this star card apart from in certain situations. It doesn't really come in very helpful, especially when there's better star cards to actually run most of the time. But one star card that comes in very helpful if you find yourself dying very often is the Survivalist star card, where your health regeneration delay is shorter than normal, and it goes up to a 40% regen delay reduction. This comes in huge for classes like the Heavy, just because they actually have 200 HP to begin with, and it takes a while for them to regen every single one of those 200 hit points. One star card though that is absolutely vital for every single class is the Bounty Hunter star card, where you gain battle points at an increased rate. At purple, this is actually 20% increase. And this is probably why you notice yourself being at a disadvantage when trying to get heroes, because people may have the same amount of score as you, but they have a lot more battle points. I.e. in game modes such as Galactic Assault and Capital Supremacy, you may find yourself without a hero even though you have more kills than the person with a hero currently at the start of the game. The two last star cards that we're going to be covering in this universal set of star cards is the Marksman and Expert Weapons Handling. These both come hand in hand as they both reduce heat. The Marksman star card, for starters, is a star card that applies when you defeat an enemy with a headshot. You get 40% heat reduction, which is very helpful when using snipers such as the NT242, as they have low magazine sizes and headshots one shot. Next is the Expert Weapons Handling star card, where your weapon cooling success states are actually longer. This is the yellow bar on your weapon, allowing you to have the yellow bar for 66% increased duration, so you don't need to reload as often. This comes in very helpful when actually playing the objective and shooting at it for a long period of time. I did think I would just reuse the universal star cards bit, and hence why I left it to last, but I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys have actually lasted this long, make sure you guys leave it a like, comment, and subscribe. It has been a while since I posted my last upload. However, I'm going to be going back to my normal schedule. I've just had a few IRL things to deal with. But you guys have been amazing so far with the support, and I hope to see you guys in the next video, which is hopefully going to be my specialist guide, and I'll have a bit more content in between as well. So stay tuned for that.
South, you're telling Master Yoda.
Objectives complete. The cruiser will never launch, and the battle for Kashyyyk will soon be won.